Okay students, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be doing paper 4 of 0625 physics of year 2023 October-November variant 1. So the first question says a girl holds a rubber ball out of a window of a tall building with mass 0.2 kg. The ball is at rest and 10 meter above the concrete path. Calculate the gravitational potential energy of the ball relative to the concrete path. So there is a girl holding a string which is connected to ball, and the height of the string from the ground is 10 meter, and potential energy is equals to mgh. Mass of the ball is 0.2, gravitational acceleration is always 9.8, and height is 10 meters from the concrete path. Putting all these things into your calculator will gives you 20 joules. B part says the girl releases the ball and it falls towards the path. The ball strikes the path and bounces vertically up. Figure 1.1 shows a ball falling towards the path. The speed of the ball immediately before it strikes is 14 meter per second, and the speed of the ball after it strikes the ground is 12 meter per second. And we have to calculate the kinetic energy immediately after it strikes the concrete path. So here is a ball, it is going down under the effect of gravity. Just before striking the ground, its speed is 14 meter per second. And when it strikes the path and bounces up, its speed is 12 meter per second. So we have to calculate kinetic energy after it strikes. So kinetic energy is equals to half mv squared. The mass of the ball is same, which is 0.2, and v after striking the earth is 12, so 12 squared. Putting it into your calculator will give you 14.4 joules. Rounding it off to two significant figures will give you 14 joules. Second part says show that the change in momentum of ball when it bounces off the path is 5.2 kg meter per second. Change in momentum has two formulas, which first is change in momentum is equals to F times t, which is impulse, and the other is final momentum minus initial momentum, or m final speed minus m initial speed. I'm using the second formula. So m times final speed minus m times initial speed. So mass is same, 0.2. Final speed is 12. Then again mass is 0.2, and initial speed, if we have taken this speed as positive, then the other speed would be negative because it is in opposite direction. So it's negative 14. It would be 2.5 plus 2.8. And the final answer would be 5.2 kg meter per second. Third question says the ball is in contact with the path for 0.25 seconds. Calculate the resultant force on the ball when it is in contact with path. So I am using the first formula of momentum, which is force times time. Arranging it with respect to force, it would be 5.2 over 0.25. And force would be 20.8. Rounding it off to two significant figures will give me 21 newtons. The second question says a copper cooking pan contains water. Figure 2.1 shows a pan on a hot plate of a cooker. Copper is a metal. The thermal energy is conducted through all solids by lattice vibrations. Describe one other way in which thermal energy is conducted in copper. So we know copper is a metal and metal have free electrons. And in solids, if the energy is conducted in a way that the vibrations are passed on from one atom to another atom, and this process is known as conduction. And this usually happens in solids. The other way in which heat can be conducted is free electrons. They move from one place to another and conduct heat. So lattice vibrations can also be written as conduction. And the other way in which heat is transferred is by movement of free electrons. The B part says the outside surface of cooking pan is kept clean by regular polishing. Explain one other advantage of using a pan shiny. So shiny surfaces have two properties. They are best reflectors, And the other property is that they are bad emitters. And bad emitters mean that they will not emit any heat radiations from the pan, and they will prevent the heat loss from the surface of the pan. C part says the thermal energy passes into the water through the base of the pan. Identify the method by which thermal energy is transferred throughout the water. We know water is a liquid, and in liquids, the heat is transferred by the means of convection. Convection means that the molecules are free to move, and they actually move from one place to another place to transfer heat instead of passing on their vibrations. And this process is known as convection, and it mostly happens in gases and liquids. So, this is convection by which the heat is transferred. Question number 3 says liquids are difficult to compress, whereas gases are easily compressible. Explain in terms of particles why it is difficult to compress liquids. So the molecules of liquids are closer as compared to the molecules of gases. That's why the liquid is harder to compress as rather than gases. They are very easily compressed. The B part says that there is a rectangular block floating in the water. The density of the water is 1000 kilogram meter cube, and the area of the base of the block is 0.014 meter square, and the base of the block is at the depth of 0.087 meters below the surface of the water. Show that the pressure due to the water at the base of the block is 850 Pascal. So the pressure at any depth depends upon the density of the liquid and the height of the water above it. So if we want to calculate pressure at this base, then the equation would be density of liquid times gravitational acceleration times height. Putting the values in, the height is 0.087 meters and the pressure will turn out to be 850 Pascal. The second question says calculate the force on base of the block caused by the pressure given in B. So pressure is defined as force per unit area. If you want to get the force, you have to arrange it with respect to force. The pressure is 850 and the area is already given, which is 0.014 meters squared. Calculating it will give you 11.9. Rounding off to two significant figures will give you 12 Newton. Third part says a force is equal to the weight of the block. This force is equal to the weight of the block. Calculate the mass of the block. So question has given us that force is equals to weight, and we know weight is equals to mg. If we put in the values, the force is 12 Newton. The gravitational acceleration is 9.8. Arranging it with respect to m would be 12 over 9.8, which is 1.2 Newton. Question number 4 says a radio transmitter is a very tall, thin cylinder. It is prevented from falling over by wires which have one end fixed to transmitter and the other end fixed to the ground. The end of the wires in the ground are long distance from the transmitter. Figure 4.1 shows the transmitter. So here is a transmitter. There are wires which are holding this transmitter. And the first question says that G is the center of gravity. State what is meant by center of gravity. Center of gravity is the point where all the weight of the body appears to act or be. Second question says explain why the radio transmitter without the wires is very unstable structure. Why will it topple up if we don't connect it to the wire? For this we need to discuss these facts, that if we have any block and there is a straight line from the center of gravity towards the earth, as long as the straight line don't cross the base, this structure would be stable, and if it crosses the line it will topple up. So stability means more base area and lower center of gravity. For example, in this case, see this has a lesser base area, and if you apply a small force into it, it will topple up. But this one has a larger base area, and this is a stable structure. It can't be toppled up with the less force. So less base area makes it unstable. I'm writing the reason that it is unstable because the base area is smaller and small force can topple it up. B part says the wire W is under tension. Mark an arrow to show the force exerted by the wire on the transmitter. So the wires are applying force to the transmitter in this direction and the other wire is applying the force in this direction. Question number 2 says the force T produces a moment on a transmitter about its base. Describe how the moment produced by T is calculated and indicate on figure 4.1 what is meant by any other terms in the description. So moment is calculated by the formula the torque or moment is equals to force multiplied by perpendicular distance of the force from the pivot. C part says the radio transmitter uses radio waves to transmit radio and television programs. State one other use of radio waves. So radio waves are used in Bluetooth headsets and they are also used in astronomy. Question number 5 says many methods of generating electricity power involve the use of water. Describe one method of generating electrical power from energy stored in waters. So I will write the reasons dams because in dams the potential energy stored in water is converted into mechanical energy and this mechanical energy is used to run the turbines and the turbines can move the coils of AC generators and this process can generate electricity. B part says for the method you have choose state one advantage and one disadvantage of generating electricity this way. So the advantage is very clear that this is a renewable source of energy and there is also no air pollution of this method. But the disadvantage is that it can be harmful for the fish. C part says state two methods of generating electrical power for which the main source of energy is not the sun. So we can generate electricity from nuclear fission and wind energy as well. Question number 6 says a page of printed text is placed 18 cm from a converging lens of focal 35 cm and figure 6.1 is a scale diagram of arrangement with each of the two principal focuses of the lens labeled as F. So you can see in the diagram that each 5 boxes are representing 5 centimeter on vertically and horizontal scale as well. And the page is placed 18 centimeter away from the converging lens and the focal length is 35 centimeter. Part number A says the length of 1 centimeter on the scale represents an actual 5 centimeter. By drawing on a figure 6.1, locate the image of the page and also tell the actual distance of the image from the lens. In our case, our object is between the focal length and the lens. So this is our case in which the rays which is parallel to principal axis passes through the focal length and the ray which passes through the center goes undeviated and then you extend your rays and they meet at a certain point. That point forms an image. So I'll do all the same things over here. So we will do the same scenario here. A line which is parallel to principal axis passes through the focal length. A line which passes through centers goes undeviated. And when we extend these lines very carefully, we will notice that they will meet at a certain point. And we will mark that point and make our image at that point. The distance of the image from the lens is between 38 and 39 centimeter. So far we have located the image of the page produced by the lens and now for the second part we have to determine the actual distance of the image from the lens which we have just calculated. It is 38.5 centimeter and your answer can be any range between 35.5 to 38.5. B part says converging lens can be used as magnifying glasses. State whether the image when a lens is used as magnifying glass is real or virtual and explain why. So this is the case when the object is between f and lens. The lens is used as magnifying glass, and in this case, the image is formed not formed by actual meeting of the rays, but the rays appear to meet. So this is a virtual image, and the rays do not actually meet, but they seems to come from an image. CPAR says suggest how someone who is long-sighted may benefit from converging lens. So converging lens is used to treat long-sightedness, and a person suffering from long-sightedness, the image is blurry because it is made behind the retina, and the converging lens reduces the focal length of our eye and help the image to produce on retina. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any confusions, you can let me know in the comment section, and if you like the video, please hit the subscribe button and like the video.